Hey guys, this is week 10 of our image series, and we will have our videos for today, and we'll have them for next week, and then we'll be done for the semester for Wednesday nights. And so I hope your groups have gone well. Thank you for everyone who's participated and for all my leaders who have led groups. But what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about a conversation between a farmer and his wife who just recently purchased property. They were at dinner one night trying to figure out, they just purchased this land, they've always wanted to live on land, and they were debating and talking about what they should build. They wanted to build a house, they wanted to build a silo, a swing set. There's so many things they wanted to do. They wanted to build a barn. And they were trying to figure out which one do they build first. And so naturally the wife says, well, let's build the house first, because this is where we're going to live, this is where we're going to eat, this is where we're going to sleep, this is where we're going to do everything. But the farmer, after thinking about it, he says, that does make the most sense, but we need to build the barn because everything that we do comes out of that barn. That barn will build everything else and pay for everything else. And so that's what they did. And it was very common for people who were buying land, for farmers who just purchased land, to add an addition to their barn and live out of their barn until they had enough animals to make a profit, or had enough crops to make a profit, and then later go and build their house. People in the business world would call decisions like that the critical transaction. That there's one transaction that you need to make that you don't need to lose in everything else. For an airline company, the critical transaction isn't necessarily the planes where they're going to take off from, but instead it's the customer buying an airline ticket. For radio stations, it's not playing music that a person likes, but it's selling the advertisement space, because that's what pays the bills. A customer buying a plane ticket, that's what pays the bills. The barn, that's what's going to pay the bills. And so there's decisions that you make that set you up for everything else that you do. Okay? And so for you as an individual, what sets you up for everything else that you do? Like what's the critical transaction in your own life? Okay, and even Jesus hints to this to a degree with the story of Mary and Martha. This is you can read about this in Luke chapter 10 whenever Martha's busy in the kitchen. Martha was overwhelmed with all that she thought she had to do, and this is what Jesus said. He said, "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed." Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Okay? So Jesus wasn't saying that what Martha was doing was evil or anything like that. He just reminded her that there was one critical transaction that she was forgetting. Okay? And her sister Mary was practicing that very thing, the most important thing. Okay? And so here's your question. How might you describe your critical transaction based on Jesus' words? How would you describe that critical transaction for yourself? I'll get it out eventually, okay? All right, and why do you think that you get distracted from it? How do you get so easily distracted from it? And Proverbs 14:4 also illustrates sort of this barn building attitude, okay? And it discusses this. It says, where there is no oxen, the stall is clean, but much work is done by the strength of the ox. Okay, and this passage in Proverbs reminds us that the farmer's critical transaction is not keeping the stall clean, but providing a home for the oxen. Like that's the goal. Okay, if it's clean, you're not doing a good job. Okay, and so while oxen might be messy, they are the workers that produce the results that any farmer is looking for. Okay, and so illustrate how you can forget what really produces by wanting to keep things clean. Like in what ways do you sacrifice those critical transactions because maybe you want to kind of keep things neat and tidy, okay? All right, and so here's your question. Another question, what one function could either make or break you as a leader or as a believer? Okay, you guys have a great group, and I will see you next time.